I pulled out the memory card out of the dash cam and found out she's trying to marry a man in prison.
Okay. Talk to me. What's going on?
Uh, 10-year relationship, some ups and downs. I went through some depressive stuff throughout COVID. We decided to have 2 children, and March 11th, she left me. And 2 days later, I pulled out the memory card out of the dash cam and found out she's trying to marry a man in prison.
Okay. All right. So
You started with me first.
come out the gate, man. I love it. I love it. Fantastic. And you're actually in the right place, brother, because I've seen all sorts of things over this last over decade. And so let's talk about it, right? So you've been married, you've been together for 10 years. You guys have 2 kids together. You decided to have 2 kids. It's always great when you decide to have 2 kids. So that's a good start, right?
Yeah.
All right, that's good. And you also so you went through some stuff through COVID. You were dealing with depression during COVID, is what I'm understanding. And you came through that COVID experience. And right after that, when was it that you guys started having issues in your relationship?
So we came to the relationship with 1 children each. So we had 4 girls. The youngest ones are 1 and 3. Last year, our teenager had some problems going on at her biological mother's, and I think that's kind of what triggered things. It put me in a position that I had to protect my oldest daughter. And when we came into December, about
What
three
are the
days,
ages of everybody? So we got one,
1,
three.
3, 11, and 14.
Got it. Okay, good. And so you found yourself trying to protect your 11-year-old.
Yeah, or excuse me, yeah. And coming into December, she went to her mom's. It kind of ruined our Christmas, and we got into a big fight. I've worked for myself for the last like 10 years in the event industry and entertainment industry. Somewhat an artist and also putting on large scale events and concerts, things of that nature. I do like contracted work, so it wasn't all the time. So the argument started regarding my children, and then it blew into you need a real job. And so immediately I started making calls. But I mean, to be honest, I've been soaking up so much books and YouTube. Like I missed a lot of signs. I did not. I was somewhat a stay-at-home dad since we had the babies, and I failed at my leadership role. I thought I was like managing things, and I definitely wasn't.
So you were stay at home. So you were a stay at home dad for the most part, right? And you were taking care
Yeah.
of the kids, and you feel as though you failed at, doing what quote unquote, a man is supposed to do, which is to, provide, right? Is that what I'm hearing? Is that what
Oh
I'm
yeah.
hearing?
That was part of the depression, part of COVID put me into because anything I do is with 50 people or more.
Right.
It was somewhat a challenge to come out of that. And then we had 2 children. And so I just fell into this hold of this is my role now. I'm no respect to or disrespect, but I just kind of felt like a housewife. And I was not okay with that, but
Yeah.
it was locked in. And all of a sudden this came out of nowhere for me. We've had horrible communication. In fact, right now she's blocked my number, changed her number. We're like have court. I don't know. Like it's hard for me to understand like the man in the prison. It's hard. Like I believe that we're both very easily like we're emotional right now, so we could be easily manipulated or like she could be easily distracted, and I don't have a way to connect with her anymore. And I like dove into your book, the audiobook, and I've been listening to it like every day, but I just don't know anymore. I kind of feel worthless in a sense. I'm trying to change that, but it's
I get
there
that.
every now and
Yeah, I
then.
got it. Yeah. So what I'm hearing is, you're looking for a solution. You're looking for some way that you can actually, save your relationship. And I'm glad you're listening to the audiobook. I prefer the audio myself, to listen to
Easier
it.
to drive and
It's
work,
easier
and I'm
to
just
do, to
grinding through it and
multitask,
going
right?
through it again. So
Yeah,
yeah.
Good for you. And you'll be surprised what you actually hear inside of that. And some of those things you're actually talking about, right? It's like that masculine versus feminine dynamic too, which was showing up in your relationship, right?
Yeah,
Right?
100%.
Yeah. Yeah, 100%. And so now here you are trying to figure it out. Now I mean, there's this guy who's in prison who she's looking to, get married to,
She's like
right?
diving in head first right
Into
now.
the relationship. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. And so, okay, good. And now so let me hear this. You're blocked. You're blocked. So what kind of communication do we have with her right now at all? Do we have any communication at all?
We haven't spoke for like 2 to 3 days, but her whole family's stalking my Facebook, my Instagram, my stories. I mean, I'm just posting nothing but positivity, what I'm doing in the gym, working. I
Good
mean,
for you.
I'm a suicide survivor. I've been sober for like 12 years, and this was rock bottom for me. Like,
Right.
so taking all of those things, I immediately did a 180, but like, I don't know what to do with this anymore.
Yeah, of course. So kind of get me into so basically to be able to make the difference, we've got to have some contact point. Now, look, I'm going to let you know right now that it's not a problem that that you're blocked on social media and text right now. You're blocked on text or just social media?
Social media and text message happened like 2 days ago.
Okay, 2 days ago. And was there a trigger point for that?
We've had a lot of third party drama between my mom, her mom, and I don't know what happened. But I'm blocked and I'm
So you had nothing to do with there was no action that you took that created the
no
block. It
action.
was probably between the moms getting into it together, and then she got triggered and she was like, no, I'm blocking you, right? Is that what I'm hearing?
Yeah, I really honestly don't know what happened. Like all I know is that I went to text her Monday afternoon and was asking for a picture of the girls. She has them right now, and the message didn't deliver. And that's where it's at. We have court tomorrow
Mm-hmm.
for a temporary parenting plan. I'm gonna bring it up then, but I don't know how to engage if the communication opens again outside of the children to like open the
Well, we
door
don't
right
need,
now.
we'll take whatever we can get, right? Is
Yeah.
reality. Any communication we'll take, even if they're upset with us and giving us, like raising Cain, giving you a lot of hell and got nothing nice to say, we'll take that communication over no communication at all. Does
Yeah.
that make sense?
Yes,
And
sir.
so, yeah, guys, everybody, like you just want to get that if they're communicating, when people communicate, they're actually communicating because they want something to happen. All right. They want some result to be caused. Right. This is what people do. It's like a baby. Same exact thing. All right. And so what happens is that they may communicate. She may even be communicating through blocking you on text and social media right now is the reality. And wanting to say, hey, enough is enough. I don't want to deal with all this drama. Which case, if you actually got the communication, guess what would happen? She'd get freed up inside of that, and she would actually be able to be with you in communication, right? So there's some stuff that wants to be there. The fact that she's communicating, it's not a problem as long as we have some communication. And the beautiful thing is because you have the 1 and 3 year old daughters together, then that literally means that you will for the next 17 years
Yeah.
have contact with each other, and we can use that is the bottom line. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So it sounds to me like there's inflammation. There's a tremendous amount of inflammation in the relationship right now. And so that inflammation, if you think about it, guys, it's like a body. If there's inflammation in the body, what happens is that you barely touch it and it hurts. You guys ever had anything get inflamed, to get swollen? You barely touch it, it hurts. And so that's exactly what's going on with Bo right now and with his partner. What's her name, by the way? Can I
Cameo.
Cameo?
Yeah.
Yeah, and so like I want to make sure that, because I'm calling her and she,
Yeah.
right?
Definitely more than a her.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. There you go. All right, so good. We want to get to the other side of it, inside of this. So you called her out. So there's a moment where you discovered this stuff on the video. Up until then, you guys were probably pretty cordial, and then all of a sudden you discovered this stuff on the video. Did you confront her about it?
You know, to be as quick as possible, we broke up on a Monday and she threw out all of the stuff that has ever happened, anything, even before we dated, anything was brought forward. And then Tuesday, because she was talking to somebody in the morning, I brought up if she's talking to somebody to like let me know. And then I got called selfish. Like, how dare I accuse her? And that's what brought up the suspicion on Wednesday when I pulled out the memory card. And then by that Friday, she moved out. And I chased for like 2 weeks,
And when
probably.
was that? What was the exact, what was the timeline on that?
March 11th, she broke up with me, was a Monday. March 13th was the day that I found out. March 15th, she moved out.
I got it. And so you confronted her on March 13th when you found out?
Yeah.
Okay, I got it. So it seems like she's got programming around being the good girl. Does she have that good girl programming?
Yeah, I mean, she's very I've never would have ever thought anything like this would have happened. Like I would have figured she
Yeah,
would
but
have
I'm
left
saying,
me.
like, hear me out, because guess what? You just triggered her, right? So what
Okay.
happened was that she that you brought it up, and it was good until, like, she was talking about your stuff until then, right? But then the moment that you actually caught her with some real evidence, then all of a sudden she gets triggered and she's like, I'm out. And she just like blows up the entire thing, right? Pretty much is how it goes, right? Is what it sounds like.
Yeah,
And so
I'm sorry.
is that ever show up anywhere else where there's this kind of good girl, like she's the one, she's the good one, like she's the one who gets it done?
No accountability for anything that's going on right now. And it is all like she's doing this for her happiness and for the girls, and
Right.
that's like
That's her
what
story.
she sees. Yeah. Like me, I've got two jobs, my business that I'm running. I'm working a graveyard, and then I just got hired at another thing, and that's been like a trigger thing
Right.
because it was like, well, you could have done this when I was home, but I couldn't. I mean, I was here with the girls and I was not in the position. I guess that's me being somewhat selfish. I don't know. Like it's kind of challenging to wrap my head around it.
Yeah, it's gonna be hard, right? Because you got your story and she's got her story,
Yeah.
right? And in her story, she's the good one.
Yeah.
And so what happened, I'm going to tell you exactly what happened here, right? What happened is she was the good one, right? And then you weren't doing what you're supposed to do for her. And then whatever she did was completely justified. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And then
100%.
all of a sudden you discovered her, you caught her, and now all of a sudden she blows up the whole thing. That's programming, right? That means that there was a trigger, you hit a button, you didn't know you were hitting a button, and then guess what? Now she goes ahead and she blows up the entire thing. Now all of a sudden you're not just you're not just in jeopardy of the relationship where she's telling you all the things that didn't work. She's now moving out, she's now blocking you, she's making distance between you, she's blaming you for everything. Like it becomes inflamed. Does that make sense?
Oh yeah, it's infected.
Yeah, it is. So here's what I'm trying to invite you to consider that's going to make a big difference, Bo, because the good thing about it is that you have, and this is the first place I want you to look, okay, is that when someone has a reality, okay, so this is what we call programming, okay? So she's got programming, you've got programming too. Right now, both of you have your own realities that you're trying to justify. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And so what happens is her reality is that she's the good one and you're the one that screwed up. And your reality is that you're the good one, trying to take care of the girls, trying to figure life out. And, she's the one that's messed up. She's the one that stepped out of the relationship. Right. And so what happened is because of that, those two don't go together. What's happening, and this is not being accepted, she's definitely going to press against you. It's creating stress inside your relationship. So really quickly, I just want to, one of the base principles that we use and why we're able to make such a big difference for people is that we say this is that, people move toward whatever triggers like happy feelings, which is what you guys had in the beginning. You guys were happy together. That's why you spent 10 years together, right? Is because you felt good when you were around her. And then you also moved to, obviously you read the book. So, and then also we move away from whatever stresses us, right? So what's
Yep.
happening right now is, Bo, is that you're stressing her out. You're creating stress. And even though you may be right, quote unquote, right, it doesn't matter. It's going to take her out. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So you've got to understand, and everybody who's listening in, you just kind of want to you kind of want to hear this. But guys, first of all, give it up for Bo, man, doing a great job, right? I can hear that you want to save your family. That you want your four girls to grow up together with the woman that you spent the last 10 years creating a relationship with. I can hear that, and I'm grateful for men like you in that regard, right? Now, what is it going to take for you to bring that relationship back and to create what you want to? Well, what it's going to take is it's really going to take you understanding that whatever you're doing to stress her out, you've got to bring it back. You got to stop. So every time you tell her she's the bad one, guess what happens?
Trigger.
it triggers her, she pushes away. She's going to find new ways to push away. When you have now these these short, little tiny opportunities, this foot in the door, because you have a 1 and 3 year old. This is great for us to be able to have communication. You got to make sure that that communication is so great. You got to make sure that communication leaves her feeling good. If you don't leave her feeling good, if you don't actually make sure, like in that opportunity that you guys have, whether it be mediation or what are you got, what is it that what you're doing, mediation right now
I will
for the girls?
find out tomorrow.
Okay,
Uh,
so you're going to create a temporary parenting plan. So inside of that, you're going to have an opportunity to speak.
yeah.
Now, you got to do your game is going to be very distinct than the game that you've played before, period. The game that you've got to play, period, is that you've got to walk in there and you got to make sure that you somehow, you got to make sure that you, whatever you've done to trigger that upset, whatever you've done to trigger that stress, like calling her out, telling her she's the bad one, okay? Because her programming says, if I'm the bad one, I'll blow everything up. That's what she does. Like she's got to be the good one, and then she gets to justify whatever she's doing. And if you discover that she's got stuff that's not it, that goes against her reality, she'll blow everything up. She'll blow up your relationship. You get that?
Yeah.
So you can't bring that to the table. That's just her programming. Do you understand this? So you got to
Yeah.
write this down because it's the beginning of where you're at. The beautiful thing is when your wife, when your girl comes at you and she's coming at you with a relationship with somebody who's in prison, the guy's in prison. It's kind of limited. He's got his arms tied,
Yeah.
right? So
I mean,
all
at
right,
the
so
same
we
time,
I'll
it's
take that, man. You know what I'm saying? I'll take that over some guy who's out. You know what I mean? So
yeah,
that's
on a yacht or something.
it's a good thing for us right now. And clearly what she's getting out of that is she's not getting him taking care of her, all the things that you think it is. You think it's about provision. It's not about provision, because if it were about provision, it wouldn't be about this guy, because this guy has no opportunity and no ability to provide. Do you get this? Not right now. So we've got a really great opportunity right now, but you've got to stop triggering her and you've got to let the inflammation come down in the relationship. That's the very first thing that you've got to do. If you don't do that, there's nothing you're going to do. You can go ahead. You've got 2 jobs now, man. You're like Jamaican. 2 job man. You know, like Jamaicans always got like 3 jobs, man. I'm part Jamaican. I know about that, you know. But I'm going to tell you that the reality of the situation is that it's going to make a difference for you. It's not about those jobs, although that is something that was definitely an impediment in your relationship. It's more so about how you're leaving her feeling. Do you understand this? So what I just gave you is gold, and you got to write that down.
Oh yeah, I'm writing it right down right now.
So she's got to be the good one, but you're not letting her be the good one. Do you understand that? Because you caught her, that's why she blew up the whole thing. Then all of a sudden, your mom's calling and her mom's calling. You're like, your mom's like, she's a Jezebel. She's
Oh,
got
it's
this
been
guy in
bad.
prison, you know. And then all of a sudden, she's saying all that stuff, and she's like, I'm not the good one. And guess what? She cuts you off because she can't be with it, because that's how her programming works. She's got to be the good one. So you've got to now you got to get back to that programming. You got to let her be the good one, because if you don't, it's going to continue to create that inflammation and create more problems, create more toxicity, and make it even difficult for you guys to co-parent. Does that make sense?
Oh yeah.
Now, on the other side, if we can actually pull that down, right? You have opportunities to speak to her because you have a 1 and 3 year old, okay? And the other thing that's great is that the family is hawking your Facebook. They're hawking your social media. You get what I'm saying? They're
Yeah.
all over. They're stalking you, everything else. We love that. You know why? Because they're looking at it, and they're going back to her. You
Yep.
get that? So
There's
we can use
communication.
those things. Yeah, we can use those things to move the relationship forward powerfully. And that's what we really want you to do. Okay. All right. So I'm going to give you some stuff to work on right now. All right. It's going to make a big difference. The biggest thing, Bo, and look, I'm going to tell you, I'm going to be straight with you guys. I'm giving it to you. Bo's got everything in the book, but I'm going to be honest with you. Bo, if you got an opportunity to do my program, you should have 100% do it. Let me tell you why. Because I'm going to tell you some things to do, but you got to become the man who can do it, and you got to choose that. And inside of that's what people get in my programs is they get to mindset map, they get to the next level, they get to become the people that they really want to be. And I think that's why you've had depression. I've been there, bro, inside those spaces as well. And you can get to the other side of that. So if there's anything that you can do to be a part of, to get in there, I want you to 100%, because I know that's going to make a difference. Now, here's the thing. People also have the ability to execute. That's the biggest thing. See, because I'm going to tell you to do some things, but now you got to do it. You got to have some fortitude to actually follow through on what I'm telling you to do right now. All right. The biggest thing is understanding, walking in there, understanding that she's got to be the good girl. You're going to have to work that programming, the good girl programming. So you've got to say, look, I really get that. I really get that, that there are things that didn't go well. You may even go in there and say, hey, look, and I really get that, you're being misrepresented inside of these things. She may say that, at which point you can do what we call disappear it, right? And then you're going to go ahead and say, I really get that. You've been misrepresented. You've been a great mother. You've been a great partner all these years. And, so you have to create that. Does that make sense? That's the biggest thing. Okay. That's the biggest thing you got to be able to do. You got to make sure though, that even in this conference, and I'm telling you, people understand this. So she may even come at you before them and actually say, when you're going for the co-parenting plan, she may even say things about you and accuse you of things. All right. If that happens, you can't come back at her and accuse her of things. If you do, you're going to make her the bad one again. It's going to inflame the relationship more. It's going to create more problems. Now, the beginning of your shifting this relationship is for you to now bring down the inflammation. It's always bringing down the inflammation. You can't heal anything until you bring down inflammation. You guys understand that? I hope everybody gets this. You cannot heal anything until you bring down inflammation. When things are inflamed, what happens is there's no blood flow. Same thing, right? And then that means that the healing can't begin. Same thing in your relationship. So if she's always getting upset, if she's triggered because you keep calling her the bad girl, it's because she's been found out. And in your story for her, she can't ever be the good one because that's her programming. I've read it about Cameo. Is the reality. That's where she is. If you continue to make her the bad one, she's going to keep on being inflamed. She's going to be inflamed for the next 17 years. She's going to be inflamed for the rest of your lives, potentially. Or you could execute by bringing it back in and realizing that that's the thing that's setting her off, the main thing right now that's setting her off, and bring it back in. It's not the finances. The finances is an excuse. Do you understand that?
Yeah.
But don't get me wrong, finances want to be in place because naturally there's a male female dynamic, and naturally, like you said, when you're taking care of stuff, it's taking down the attraction when you're not protecting and providing, and she's not nurturing and supporting. Does that make sense? Yeah, it just is what it is. But that's not what's going on here right now. The first thing that's got to happen is you get into that co-parenting conference and you're going to create power with her. Does that make sense? You've got to take down that inflammation. You got to listen to her speak. You've got to treat her in a way that you haven't. It's going to be, that's why I said, when people come to our programs, that's what they actually do. They get to become the new person that can actually execute on this. You got to execute on this because you can and because you want to. Okay, is what I'm saying. And that will literally, it's going to shift how she's being with you. And it's going to be, look, she's going to test you and she's going to try you. She's going to see you. She's going to roll her eyes. She's going to try to be nasty. It's going to probably make you not feel good. But I'm going to invite you to consider when you can bypass all of the reactions that we can be, and you can actually just give her that ability to feel good about herself and take out that stress that you've been putting in. Definitely don't take your mom.
Yeah,
don't take
that's
your mom.
100% not happening.
All right. And so if you can do that, brother, then what's going to happen is that it's going to begin bringing down the inflammation of the relationship. The more we bring down the inflammation is the more healing begins, and the more that you can get more communication, and the more we can take new actions is the bottom line, right? That's what I want to say. I'm going to tell you, she doesn't want to give up. Nobody wants to give up 10 years of a relationship invested. You're a good looking guy. You seem like a really nice guy, really good, big heart. You know what I mean? I don't see, really, and I'm just saying this, and this is generally true. She's doing this because of how she feels about herself when she's with you. Does that make sense? And so that's what we got to focus on. I'm telling you, that hurts, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Right? Good. I'm glad it does. You're a good man, right? Because if we all got that, we'd all have our relationships work if we mastered how do we make them feel about themselves when they're with us. That's it. All right. And so that's one of the things that I want to go to work on. Man, I would love to work with you on a level, brother. But you have this tomorrow, right? When is it?
What was that? Tomorrow, yeah. At 11.
Right, so good. You got to walk in. We're going to play a defensive we're going to have a defensive posture inside of this, okay? And we're going to keep up. All right. And so we're going to keep up with we're going to keep up with each other. We're going to follow up inside of this. Okay. And what we're going to do is the biggest thing that you've got to do is you got to bring down inflammation. We can't do anything else. We can't bring you back together until that inflammation goes down. She's inflamed, right? And so, but you've got a lot of good bones in this relationship. What I really like about this is that you have so many contact points. You've got your 1 and 3 year old daughters for sure, right? You've got you've got to have these conversations, mediations, co-parenting, plans and all the other stuff that goes with that, right? You've got to have all that stuff going there. You've got entanglements, which we really love to see. I love that the fact that the family is still stalking your Facebook. We can use that a lot there. You've got a lot of good contact points right now, but right now she's pushing away because of the stress levels that are being brought into the relationship. Take those out, inflammation goes down, and then we can begin to heal. That's the first step. Got it?
Yeah.
My brother, execute. All right.
Yeah.
Look, I'm gonna be straight with you. It is not gonna be easy.
No, I know.
All right, because she's gonna come at you most likely. She's gonna have things to say, right? And you gotta be love. And if you can stand in love and compassion, I'm telling you, it will go a long way. And that's your only job for that one moment. And then after we get through that moment, then you get access to what's next.
Execute.
My brother. That's it.
Thank you.
Yeah, 100%. Guys, give it up for Bo, man. You know what I'm saying? Bro, thank you so much for coming. Did it make a difference for you?
Yeah. It gives
Good.
me a lot more kind of, it's given me a lot of things that I just need to re-gear my conversations about to not trigger.
100%. That will make the difference.
Yeah.
Right. And then that's the first phase is we got to bring down the inflammation.
Yep.
Detox. Yeah.
Yep.
All right. Good. Awesome. Thank you, brother.
Thank you.